The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Oh, guns up! Giddy up, baby. Welcome to the Failure to Stop podcast, the #1 show where police meets society and culture. Today is our Friday breakdown, our Friday flagship show, the #1 show on the channel. And I couldn't be happier to be here. Couldn't be in a better place. And no, I have no one else, none other. See where I was going with that sentence. I wouldn't be, well, stop. I just pulled a Joe Biden.
Wow.
That's why I don't make fun of Joe Biden. That's why I don't make fun of him, because it can happen to anyone at any time. There's no other place I'd rather be than to be here and with no one other than the one and only Easy Breezy, Drew Breezy. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, I have 2 words for you. It's great to be here.
Well played. Michael is out of town. Michael the cop is out of town. He's at a conference all over the place. Elijah, you probably know better than we do. I don't even know where conferences are. Where's he at this week?
Currently on a plane. He just left Detroit.
Okay.
So,
but didn't he just leave Texas?
yes, he got back last night. They left this morning.
Yeah, so he is flying around the country doing all of the Michael the cop things. And which means we have our pinch hitter, Drew Breezy, who is just becoming a staple on the mound. He's becoming more and more familiar with the Failure to Stop pitching mound, and so we love to have him in the hot box. If you're tuning, what's that?
I said I'm glad you gave me the pill today. I'm ready to throw balls and strikes. I can come up with a bunch of baseball references.
Are you juiced? Are you juiced up?
Yeah, I'm juiced and jacked.
Juiced this morning?
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in for the first time, this is the Failure to Stop podcast. We do 4 shows a week. We have Mondays off the cuff with Mike the Cop and He Big Daddy, bringing you all the police news and police related news. Tuesday nights with the beautiful and audacious and crazy Andrea Uplate, who gives us all the murder and mayhem of Night Shift, True Crime Tuesdays. Wednesdays or Thursdays is Last Call, giving you something else to talk about this weekend other than dead babies and domestic violence. And then, of course, our Friday flagship show, Case Breakdowns. And today, Drew is going to be helping me break down a case. We're going to be talking a lot about suicide by cop. But before we dive into all of that, we've got some reviews we got to take care of. Of course, we got to get a shout out to today's sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by GhostBed, ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Also, United States Carry Conceal Association. Do I say that right? Did I say it right this time? U.S. Conceal
You
Carry.
did. You did. You said it right.
I did say it right.
You did for once. You said the whole name. Perfect.
Also, we always have Manscaped and Blue Chew. And so all those promo codes across the board, it's promo code Wolfpack. Support us by supporting our sponsors. Get hard while staying cool, while shaving your balls clean, all the things. It's cool how all of our sponsors kind of match up. So you can Manscape. Yeah, you can Manscape, pop a Blue Chew, head over to the Ghost Bed, and you're always safe because you've got your USCCA membership. It just ties right into each other. What do we have for reviews and ratings there over underpaid producer?
It's up on the screen.
Oh, Wolfpack needs a kick in the nuts. Mike needs a wig. 5 stars from whatever I'd gaff about whatever. I don't give a fuck about the name. I've got 2 blue.
Oh no.
Well,
what an amazing review.
Oh,
wait. Oh, is he back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you froze very hard. We didn't hear the review.
Oh, okay. Let me read it to you again. I've got 2 Blue Chews with Mike's name on them. Have some lipstick ready. Best podcast, 5 stars. I'll let you read this one, Drew.
This says from Ryan Abernathy out of Chattahoochee, Tennessee. I made that up. Best show ever. now I have a stupid desk job. I can listen to every show live.
Dude, what's up, Ryan Abernathy? Thanks for tuning in live and being mediocre at your job. We were mediocre cops, and so we salute anybody else who's mediocre at
Yes.
that.
Hey, leave reviews, please.
Please drop some rating and reviews. It's not that hard. If you want to support our show, there's just a few ways that you can do it. And you don't have to be a paid member to support the show. Giving a rating and review is huge. Hitting that like and subscribe button on YouTube, absolutely huge. Drew Breasy just launched another video on our YouTube channel that was fire. It was literally it was fire. A Maserati running from a helicopter that ends in a very fiery car crash. And he breaks it down beautifully, talking about the debate. Should cops pursue non-violent criminals, stolen vehicles, etc.? It's a great debate that shows that video is getting a lot of comments, a lot of debate in the comment section there. So get in on that and you'll like it. Sarah Kelch says you missed Mike already. Sarah, don't do this with me right now. Don't start with me right now in the live chats. I don't even want to hear it. You've been a day one listener. You're way too young to listen to the show anyway. But we know the pastor is gone, and that the vice pastor, is that what they're called? Vice pastors?
Yes, vice pastors.
The vice pastors are here. So it's actually going to be more fun. We're like
I've never heard that term.
what do they call the
assistant pastor?
The assistant
probably?
pastor. Yeah, we're the substitutes. We're the cool substitute teacher that just wheel in that VHS system and TV when your teacher isn't there.
Yeah,
like nobody fucking complains when your teacher's not there. When the cool
you get to watch a
substitute
movie.
comes in, because you get to watch a movie. We're that guy. We're the cool substitutes. Mike's not here. That means we get to have fucking fun. Say whatever we want. Cock, balls, penis. Yeah. Whatever we want to say.
Sarah, I was going to ask if I was chopped liver, but I see that you've redeemed yourself.
Okay, good. Anyway, you can like or subscribe to our Instagram, our Facebook. You can leave a comment on our Facebook and our Instagram. Share us with a friend. That's the most important thing to do. This sounds like church now. This sounds like church. Help out with the potluck dinner. You can bring a bag of chips. It's fine. No, but seriously, we thank you guys all for your support. Our YouTube channel is growing. I think we've got like 400 new subscribers this week. So that's killer on our YouTube that, we've just transitioned and kind of started in the last few months and actually put some work into it. And it's cool to see that thing grow. Of course, our Instagram's always hot and fire. Of course, we got all the Instagrams with like last call, failure to stop. It's all a thing. So thank you guys all so much for all of your help and support. One more piece of news that you don't want to miss. Drew Breasy and myself and Dexter Pitts will be joining the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you're interested in the meetup, it is a Tuesday night in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, I will be there Monday night. I think, Drew, are you flying in Monday night or just Tuesday?
Yes, I am. I'll be in Dallas that weekend. Well, actually from Thursday on, but I'm flying. The short answer is yeah. I'm flying in Monday night, Monday afternoon, probably.
Are you able to be met up with in Texas, or are you too busy at your conference?
Oh, God, no. Thursday night, I'm busy. The lovely Kara and I will be at the premiere of PTSD 911, which is a new documentary by Conjo Productions. It's the premiere of the documentary, apparently, and I made a donation to it way back a couple years ago when it was in its infancy stages. So I was kind of invited to it. I'll be going to that premiere. Then the COPS conference, COPS, Concerns of Police Survivors, is in Dallas that weekend. So I just decided to make a weekend trip out of it. And then all of a sudden, out of a clear blue sky, Cincinnati Joe, aka Eric Tansey, told me, "Hey man, I'm going to be in Cincy." And I'm like, okay, that's what retired people do now. We just travel
around. So we have Dexter Pitts from the I Am Pitts book. He'll be there. Lieutenant Colonel Scheller. We all know that guy. He's going to be there as well. I'm a huge fan of Scheller. I tried to get him on the show a while back. I don't remember what happened. I think it's because we had like Donut Operator and him in the same week. And so we had Donut Operator and then something happened. I don't know. But either way, I finally get to meet him and that's cool. And this is all for the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast, which I got to be a guest on. And it was a fabulous show. It's some first responders that have a really cool podcast. It's a lot of fun. It's really good. They've done a really great job. And they're definitely up and coming. And it's kind of that whole genre of, giving you something else to talk about other than the job type stuff. So it's not like just a podcast about the job or anything like that. It's a lot of comedy. It's like three bros hanging out. So a lot of fun there. And we'll be in Cincinnati, Ohio. So Monday and Tuesday, that's November 7th.
Skyline Chili.
So if you want to be there, if you want to grab some beers with us and then come to the live show on Tuesday, hit me up in the DMs at Failure to Stop on Instagram or Facebook, or you can find Eric Tansey on Instagram and you can hit me a message and I will give you the locations where we're going to be. I don't want to just put that out on the interwebs. I like to do a little bit of vetting first. So if you want to come see us in Cincinnati for 2 nights, I'll even tell you what hotel I'm staying in, and you can stay in the same hotel, and then I'll do the where you knock and run away? I can't remember. I'll knock on your door and then run away real quick.
It's just mischievous
business.
Yeah. And if you do find out what hotel he's staying in, please let me know, because I'm trying to book and trying to get information out of him.
Dude, I don't know. They're booking my room for me. They paid for the room, so I'm really gracious. And dude, I bet you these motherfuckers put me in like some kind of sleazeball like Hotel 8.
Oh, I hope there's a number. You know what I mean? Yeah, right.
Ding dong ditch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're gonna put me like right in the middle of the hood. I'm fine with that. Drinking Bros did that to me one time on accident. Put me like right in the middle of a whole bunch of homeless people. That was a live show in Austin. Ding dong ditch, as the chats say. We do have a live chat going on right now in the chats, so we will reference the chats quite a bit. But tonight we're talking about suicide by cop and all the things. Brittany Faulkner says that's when he'll do the blue chew. Yeah, I have not done the blue chew yet. Now they sent me the blue chew, and I said when I do pop my first blue chew that I would I will document it. I'll document everything that happens from the time I take the blue chew to the time my first erection happens.
Do you have an Apple
how many
Watch,
erections I have?
Eric?
No, I don't.
Oh, you should borrow an Apple Watch and do like the activity monitoring or whatever, and then report back to us with what happens to your body.
Like oxygen sensor, the whole 9 yards.
How many times I jerk off and
well,
I don't know. I don't know what to expect, man. I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited to expect it. I'm hard thinking about getting hard, which means like I'm going to be the guy that stays hard for like more than 4 hours. I feel like I'm going to be that guy.
Congratulations.
Well, speaking of which, let's talk about some suicide by cop.
Oh yeah, there's nothing more arousing than that. Well, first let me just start by saying this. There are debates within the comments of my latest YouTube video about whether we pursue or not. And I took that with the eye of a former administrator. Like, I'm just kind of trying to break down what I see as a cop. Like there was no greater feeling in the world as a cop than to be ready to get into a pursuit. And then there's no more unnerving feeling as a shift commander or watch commander than to hear someone who's about to get into a pursuit, because
especially when you hear like that person is me, like when the supervisor hears that it's me, and like, cause like when you key up, like your 5 meter skills go down because your drone's up. So sometimes you key up, you might give your location, but you don't unkey. So you kept saying,
yeah.
Oh dude.
You say more than you mean to say.
Yeah.
And people
I'm like, well, I'm in a foot pursuit. Martin and Bladen heading west. Whoa! You're mine, baby.
My erection is holding me back. So, but what I wanted to say about that is like, look, I get that some of the stuff I say in there is like the fun police, like I'm taking the fun out of policing or whatever. And then there's always the age-old debate of, well, if we don't pursue, do the crime rates go up? And yeah, that may very well be. Mine is more of an eye of safety. I just want to make sure that the citizens are just as safe, and we are too. Like, I don't want to lose cops to a stupid stolen car, which, by the way, 9 times out of 10, or I won't go 9 times out of 10, let's go 7 times out of 10, is either a crack rental. You know what I mean? It's not a true stolen car, or it's a kid who took his parents' car and they entered it as stolen. And now we get all excited and we chase the thing. And the 15-year-old kid that's driving, who doesn't have the ability to drive, is driving at speeds over 100 miles an hour. And they end up running into somebody or one of us. And it's just not worth it, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. And that's all it is. So when you're in the comments and we're debating, we're just literally having the debate. That's the whole point of me doing these videos, so that we can have this discourse without discord. Just kind of, not the platform discord, but so we could just have the discussion. It's just stuff for me to sprinkle into your life, stuff that I wish I knew when I was a young officer. But again, I'm not trying to kill the morale.
I disagree. I think
Okay.
if you're against what I believe, then fuck you. You're a piece of shit and you can get out.
Yeah. Ask my
I'm just kidding.
My blood brother that we are almost not talking right now over some political bullshit. So I love him like a brother, just not one of mine. So that's an old Woody Allen line. So we're going to do kind of the same thing today. I'm put here to kind of break things down. I'm going to tell you like it is. And I tend to try to go to the lowest common denominator, in the sense that you may not have the experience as a police officer that everybody else does. And also there are some family members or civilians that listen to the show as well. So I want to make sure that they understand what we're thinking, what our thought process is. And I think it's helpful that way. So I don't mean to offend anybody if I'm going to the lowest denominator. I'm just doing it for the sake of being able to explain it to everybody so we can all participate.
Yeah.
So,
Big Bird to Cookie Monster.
Big Bird and Cookie Monster. So we're going to talk a little bit about suicide by cop. And I'm always very apprehensive about using this term, because sometimes it's just a suicidal person and there's a cop present. And here's another one of these buzz kills I'm about to throw at you. And this was discussed with me by an administrator that I really deeply admire and respect. But the simple fact of the matter is, just because you can use deadly force in a situation doesn't mean you always should use deadly force. You certainly want to protect yourself and you want to protect everybody around you. But if somebody has the will to die and they're not willing to do it themselves, I mean, sometimes we can perhaps communicate our way out of that. And so
in Canada, is it like they just say, they tell the cops to just go ahead and do it? Because didn't they like legalize humane suicide?
They don't need the cops to do it anymore under that theory.
Like the new training in Canada is like, hey, if you come across a bloke, I don't know, what do they say in Canada?
No, they don't say bloke, but
if you come across the chap A and he wants to commit suicide, just help him out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Speaking of Canada, I've got my Tim Hortons cup here for all of you that know, So a suicide, so I think in Canada, they just politely ask them, like, hey, can you not involve me in this, eh? Like, you're allowed to do it yourself now. You don't need the Mounties for this.
Do you still have to pay the clinic?
I don't know.
And like, what does it cost? Do you have to make an appointment?
The Canadian dollar is not as strong right now, so it may be a little bit less. I don't know.
We got you down for Tuesday at 3. Is that going to work for you? Well, that's like right in the middle of my craps. No, that's right in the middle of my canasta game, because it's Canada. But I think I could step away from the canasta game to do the suicide. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, if that's all you got open,
if that's all you have available, I mean, shit.
Can you call me at first available?
Yeah. Call me at first available. And then can you put a little reminder on my phone that I'm supposed to commit suicide at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, so I don't forget? Oh,
that's all kind of bizarro. Wasn't Dr. Kevorkian a Michigan guy? Remember we were doing assisted suicide in the U.S.?
Yeah, I don't remember what state. I mean, sounds like something bullshit that would come out of Michigan, because Michigan sucks. But
I know there's a lot of Michigan people that are involved in this whole thing.
I haven't met one Michigan person that I like.
I've met a few.
I'm just kidding, Elijah and Michael.
All right.
I do find it odd that Elijah knows so much about Mike the Cop. I think it's kind of creepy.
It's almost like he raced me. Not really. He was never home.
Oh, damn. Daddy wasn't there. So can I tell you really quick before we jump into this very serious story? And this is a story that's actually in my book. It wasn't a suicide by cop, but it was a Suicide with a cop. Involving me. It's like Cops and Donuts, you know, like Coffee with a Cop.
Yeah.
This story is called Suicide with a Cop. Committing suicide with Tansey.
I like it.
And as the story goes, because it's pertinent to today's topic of discussion, but it was a group home and there was a female that was locked in the bathroom. And so I was a senior officer and it seemed like a very easy call to take. And I didn't have a rookie with me. So I was like, I got this, Rally. So I go up to the group home and they're like, do you want to check in? I was like, no, I'm some fucking girl locked in the bathroom. I think I'll be all right. So I get there and I knock on the door and I'm trying to be not Officer Tansey, trying to just be Eric to get this girl to open the door so I don't have any drama. And I just say, hey, whatever her name was, Sarah. Hey, Sarah Kelch. Could you open the door and talk with me for a minute? And she was like, are you a cop? And I was like, well, do I sound like a cop? She's like, well, you sound like a real fucking asshole. So yes. And I was like, damn. I was really trying not to sound like an asshole. So I was like, well, I am a cop, but I'm not here as a cop today. I'm here as your friend. And I just want to talk to you. And she's like, well, I don't want to talk to you. And I was like, well, you're not in there trying to like hurt yourself or anything, are you? And she's like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I said, well, if you are, you know, if you say that, I'm gonna have to kick this door in and I'm gonna have to rescue you. And then we're gonna have a broken door. She's like, why would you kick the door in? It's unlocked. And I was like, shit. So I reached out and I jiggled the doorknob and it was unlocked. I was like, damn, that sucks. So I said, okay, well, hey, I'm going to open the door. Is it all right if I open the door? She's like, well, you just threatened to kick it in and you're the police. So I'm guessing, yeah, you could probably just open it if you wanted to. I was like, man, this smart ass bitch. So I was like, all right, well, you don't have anything that's going to hurt me, do you? You don't have any like guns or bombs or knives or anything? She's like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I was like, damn. So I pull my taser out with my left hand. And I use my right hand. I'm holding my taser down at my hip and I push the door open and she's standing butt naked in the bathtub, cutting her wrist. But you know, when you cut your wrist, you hold your, you know, like if you're going to cut your wrist, your arms are kind of like down by your midsection and you're cutting up. Well, that's what it was. And so I was like, stop cutting yourself. And I yanked the trigger of the taser to get her, you know, because I was like she was cutting herself. I was like, oh, and so I shot her with my taser. And it hit Sarah Couch right in the vagina. Oh. So both darts plowed right into her vagina. She falls out of the bathtub, barely misses the sink. Her nose and face explode all over the floor. Blood goes everywhere. She rides the lightning. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm like, I reach down and I grab a rag. My buddy grabs a rag and we put it over her wrist and we handcuff it down to her wrist. And I flip her over and she's like, oh my God, did you just tase me in the fucking pussy? And I was like, oh my God, I think I did. And she's like, why would you tase me in the pussy? And I was like, I didn't mean to. Like, I didn't mean to. And I was like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm doing great. I fucking woke up today trying to kill myself. And you thought you would help by tasing me in my fucking pussy. I'm great. I had to
walk you through the door for Christ's sake.
She's like, you fucking idiot. And I was like, I'm going to call 911. She was like, you are 911. And I was like, I get it. Would you stop with this shit? You're making me feel real fucking stupid. So I call and I get an ambulance there and the ambulance shows up and they're like, Jesus Christ, man, did you fucking tase her in the vagina? And I was like, she was like, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, who fucking does that? This fucking retard needs to go back to training. And I was like, she was cutting herself and they're like, whatever, dude. They're like, it's yours. You tased her in the vagina. And so, you have to get the darts out. So I was like, are you serious? She's like, honestly, I don't want him fucking touching me. And they're like, well, it's kind of like it has to be that way. So I had to like put my hand over her vagina, you know, do like a little, I'm just kidding. But then I yanked the darts out and, you know, put them in the evidence bag and whatever. So we're walking out of the bathroom. She's, you know, we clean up all the blood and everything and we got all the ambulance. Well, all the girls in the group home are sitting out watching and they're all just like looking and staring. She's like, okay, ladies, if you want to fucking kill yourself, do it before this asshole gets here because he'll tase you in the pussy on your way out. And everybody was like looking at me and I was just like, oh God, worst day ever. But anyway, that's what happens when you try to commit suicide with Tansey. You get tased right in the old hoo-ha.
I was waiting for you to say, and the story she tells to this day is I told that Tansey, this guy just tased me in the vagina 3 times. You don't have any more cartridges.
I ran out of cartridges.
The one was electric.
I popped a blue chew. And
you're saying is that we should all get tasers to go with our ghost beds.
Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girl's been calling me ever since. She's like, hey, I'm trying to commit suicide again. You got that taser handy?
Just try the door this time, dummy.
I want to be laying on a bed so you don't tase me in the bathtub. The funny thing is, when I tased her in the bathtub, the only thing I could think is, oh my God, can you tase somebody in the bathtub?
Was she cutting the right way? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she was cutting straight up. I mean, she had already cut. I mean, the piece of broken glass, because she broke some of the glass like in the mirror. So she was using mirror glass, and it had to be damn near close to coming out the other side of her fucking wrist. Like she's gonna have severe nerve damage. It was really bad. Like it was bad enough that we had to take a towel, fold it up, and handcuff the towel down to the wrist to try to keep it like. I mean, it was bad. I mean, yeah. I mean, if the ambulance wouldn't have gotten there and gotten her evac, she'd definitely be fucking dead. And she's probably got lots of shit in that hand for sure.
Handcuffs and tased in the vagina. I mean, I think I saw this on Bang Bros.
Yeah, it was on Brazers, actually.
Brazers. So we are going to go straight from that to suicide by cop because they're kind of the same. I mean,
where do you go? Where else do you go from there?
Like that's where my mind takes me.
Community policing,
right? So when I do research, anyway, when I research this stuff, I do use a organization called PERF, Police Executive Research Forum. A few years back, they did a whole study, and they issued a whole bunch of stuff on suicide by cop. You got to remember the number of incidents or the number of police shootings every year. There's a percentage in there that are invited by the people. You know what I mean? So if we're getting this bad rap of just going out and shooting people, which we know is not true, the stats don't support that either. But just remember, there's a fraction of that of people that actually wanted us to end their lives. So I think it's important that we actually count those, which gets back to my stats video. If you haven't seen that, you can check it on YouTube. Please smash the like button and subscribe so you'll know when the next video is coming out. But
tase that like button right in the pussy.
Right. Ride that like button like a Sibian. So a suicide by cop incident is an encounter in which a suicidal person attempts to die by suicide by forcing a law enforcement officer to use lethal force. That's the definition of it. So normally what happens in these, like there's a very small percentage of people that actually do this with actual guns. Usually it's a replica gun or just maybe a toy or something like that. And then a lot of times it's a sharp object, like it's a knife or something. And then if we take the 10,000 foot view of this whole thing, most of the time we're getting phone calls. This is something trendy in law enforcement. Most of the time we're getting phone calls from a family member or a concerned, ex-lover or a doctor or something. And they're saying, hey, Tansey, go knock on this guy's door. He's suicidal. And you're like, what's that got to do with me in a sense? Like there is this shift of like, let's defund the police and let's put social workers on the case for mental health issues. And then the mental health issues are like, what the fuck? These people have knives and they have guns. Like, what are we supposed to do? So there's always this debate within law enforcement. And I'm telling you, there was a place that I'm well aware of in my past that had a very lively discussion one morning that I was involved in. And the discussion essentially was, look, if the person's in the house by themselves and they want to die, that's on them. Like, why are we going to be involved in that? Like, we shouldn't be exposing ourselves to have to shoot somebody or to get hurt ourselves or whatever. I mean, if this person's going to die, there's mental health help out there, to which, I responded, that's great. We can talk this big game, but what are you going to tell an emergency call taker to tell that family member? Like, what would you like me to tell them? Hey, we don't respond to those anymore. We just don't do it. So and they sorry.
They respond with, I need a hero to save him. He's not going to stand and die alone.
Oh, on the wings of an eagle. So So essentially, there is that. Like you're put into a very bad position. There's a really good deputy sheriff that worked where I worked, and he was on a specialty unit, and then he was moved back to the street. The first day back on the street, he had been off the street for a little while. The first day back, a family member calls and said, my uncle's acting out of sort, and he's off his rocker, off his meds or whatever. And, the deputy shows up and the guy's sitting in the driveway with a big machete. I mean, and then he comes at the deputy, and the deputy does what the deputy is trained to do. And then all of a sudden the family turns that on. We didn't call you to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. But, I didn't show up here to be killed either. I mean, if the guy wants to die, he wants to die. He doesn't have to take me with him. So this is kind of what goes through the officer's mind in these suicide by cops. Like you don't really want to be the one that has to do it, because they're putting you in that position. They want to die, but they're too chicken to do it. So they're going to make somebody else do it and live with it, no pun intended, for the rest of their life. I think it's pretty heavy. So Los Angeles has made a lot of strides, or some of the major departments have actually made a lot of strides in putting in place like mental health units that go out and kind of handle these calls. So they're trained in both. But just as a training point, like we're going to watch the video of what this guy did. It's going to be hard to watch the whole video, but I'll give you some characteristics that this guy's exhibiting that maybe you should look out for. But always remember, when somebody's in crisis like that and you point a firearm at them, they're feeding off of you. So it's optimal to have a contact cover situation where one person is covering somebody who is doing all the talking, because what you're trying to do is kind of, and I don't want to overuse this term, but this is a true de-escalation where you're trying to get this person to calm down. So if you just give them little nuggets of information, some of the stuff that Perf suggests is to like make sure that a supervisor comes, and because you can get resources quicker that way. And it's it rises to that seriousness. If you're dealing face to face with somebody who's suicidal, I mean, I think you're negotiating with somebody for their life. It's not always optimal because they happen so fast, but just give them easily digestible commands, or have conversations, talk about stuff in the future, or talk about accomplishments in the past, but don't necessarily give in to their demands. And don't treat them like a criminal. I think that probably goes a long way too in saving them. But
I like to egg them on.
Right? Like coax them.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, you're not going to walk right over there and grab that firearm and stick it in your mouth and pull that trigger. You're not going to do that and just end all your suffering and your pain and just make it all go away right now. You're not going to do that.
Yeah. The call taker is probably like, ugh.
Oh, man, God.
The only one that's available is a guy named Tansey, and
we call him the Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
he's literally never saved a single suicidal. One time he did. He tased her in the vagina, but
right. He's the Coax Master. So Coax Master General, they call him. So let me start by reading the press release. This happened in Riverdale Park, which is in Maryland. I couldn't pull the police report. I don't know if it's available yet. This is another situation like in Tucson where when there's an officer-involved shooting, they have another investigative body that comes in and does the full investigation, so it takes the burden off of the law enforcement agency. And in this case, the Maryland Attorney General's office does the investigating. So they've released the body cam and they've released the officer's name and the decedent's name, but they also released this press release. It says the Independent Investigations Division of the Office of Attorney General is investigating this thing. And to set it up, on September 19th at approximately 3:30, officers with the Riverdale Park Police Department responded to a home on Oglethorpe, a report of a suicidal man who had access to firearms, which is a very important question to ask. The man retreated inside the home and then to an upstairs bedroom. And spoiler alert, officers followed the man inside the home and gave him commands to stop. He didn't comply. And once inside the bedroom, he pointed a handgun at the officers. One officer discharged their firearm, striking the man. Officers rendered aid until medical personnel arrived, and he was taken to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. So We can talk more about that as we roll some video here. You're going to see that this is the body worn cam, the camera of the main officer. You might notice something specific about, I said I wasn't even going to do this, but you might notice something specific about the guy's voice. But so I'll play that part of the clip, but then we'll just kind of move into where they're dealing with him face to face. Oh, and it's not playing. Oh, here it is.
Yes, hello?
Hello, this is Officer Spate from Riverdale Park PD.
Who?
This is the Riverdale Park Police Department.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to get a hold of your brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any more
Is
talks?
he okay?
He's on a psych ward right now.
I'm hoping to find some chapstick.
Yes.
All right, so I don't.
Real bad.
I literally said I didn't want to make fun of this guy.
I'm not
because
making fun of him, but he sounds
not
like
either,
Napoleon Dynamite.
he sounds exactly like Napoleon.
You guys tell me I
can't
look like a
apologize.
transvestite all the time.
Eat, Tina. That's all I want to say.
Your hand.
So let's-
Your hand. Okay.
So here
all right,
they
okay.
stand.
All right.
Beside his truck. They were talking to him on the phone. And he comes to the door. And here are a couple things that I want you to notice about this. He everyone shouted, "Let me see your hands, let me see your hands." But watch this guy's hands. I watched the whole thing, so I'm not going to put you through the torture, but there's like 8 or 10 minutes where they don't see what's behind his back. And I'm telling you, it was like I was there. Like I was reliving some of this. I could feel the butterflies in my stomach, of what was going to happen because I didn't know how it ended.
You're fine. Hold on, sir. Hold on, don't wait. Don't go down. Hold on. Relax. Listen, we got a call, okay? We got a call. Are you okay?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to harm yourself?
No.
No.
You don't want to harm yourself.
That's right.
Okay. We got a couple calls today. Otherwise, we got a couple calls today saying that you weren't right today. You weren't feeling good today. And we'll make sure you're okay. You're not in trouble or anything. You didn't do anything illegal. We're not here to arrest you, anything like that. We just want to make sure you're okay.
We got how many cops here? 4?
4.
Yeah. I'm fine.
You don't want to harm yourself today?
No.
Okay,
Damn,
there's
dude, was he sizing it up?
Well,
How
he
many
was.
cops
Yeah,
you got? You
I mean,
got
I think
4?
he's. I don't know if he's saying that in the sense that, like, man, it took 4 of you to come here to find out that I'm fine. But just some of the observations I see about this guy, like he's a very just kind of meek old man. His Oxford shirt is tucked into his jeans.
Yeah.
You could see he's got his watch on. So these aren't.
He's holding keys in his hand.
He's holding keys because he did tell him on the phone call that he had to go run an errand, and he'll say that again in a second. But so to set it up a little more, maybe we'll see it in the video, maybe we won't. But the police received a phone call from a medical doctor of some sort that treats this guy, because apparently he wrote a letter to the doctor that said that the FBI is after him. And as we find out now, I mean, anything could happen. I mean, it could be true, but I guess he wrote in there that he had to die because the FBI was out to get him. Then additionally, somebody else independent of that doctor called from another facility and said, "Hey, I need you to check on this fella because he's not acting right today. He's acting suicidal today. So can you please go to his house and check it?" That's how we get the call normally. Can you go?
But
there
I mean, this is a call that we almost get every single day.
It is. The difference here, and I don't know if there's a difference here. In the state of Florida, we have what's known as the Baker Act.
Right.
So,
I mean, everybody has their version of the Baker Act where you put them away for, 24 to 72 hours or whatever it is.
It's also an involuntary thing if it's initiated by law enforcement. So you've got 2 independent people telling you that this guy is suicidal and that he has access to firearms. And I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking these guys because they did pretty much everything I would have done anyway, engage him in dialogue and the whole 9 yards. But are they within their rights right now to snatch his left hand and put him in handcuffs and put him in the car and have him involuntarily committed, so to speak? I mean, this is the age-old debate. I mean, it's is he allowed to be suicidal? Is he allowed to be a threat to himself or somebody else without having to go get checked out? And if they're doing their due diligence to see if he's going to follow through on the threat, I mean, you're kind of opening up the can of worms in the sense that you already have what you need, kind of. But, you know, by going there and talking to him, of course he's going to tell you, no, I'm not going to kill myself. Or, I mean, I don't want to say of course, but because some people just surrender and say, yeah, I need help. But
no, but I mean, like when you're involuntarily committing somebody, you're taking away their rights as a human. So you have to be careful with that. Like you can't just go on the word of like the sister or the brother. You don't know what kind of fight they've been having. Like before, you know, that was always my thing. It's like you can't just go around and like put your hands on somebody that wants to commit suicide just because some family member says that they, you know, appear to be suicidal for the day. I mean, because I have gotten that call where it's like, dude, my sister said that. Fuck my sister. We're in a fight right now. And I told her I want to end it all right now, which is I meant end our relationship, not like fucking kill myself, you know? So I can't just like, you know, run up there and just snatch somebody because a couple family members, you know,
like ex-lovers are notorious for doing this, but let's also remember this came from 2 independent sources, and one of them was a medical doctor that treated him. So we don't know if they treated him for his mental condition, if they've had previous discussions about.
Yeah, but did the cops just? I mean, so like, yeah, the dispatch got to talk to a doctor, but like when you're a cop in your cop car, you don't really like.
You'll see they actually called the doctor.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But not only that, like if
I'm just saying at this point, I'm definitely not putting my hands on this guy. Like I know you said we could, but
it
like
lends to the good faith though. Like if you're receiving this report from a medical doctor and you're concerned about whether or not this guy is, this is great. This is the debate I've been looking for. But if you're concerned about the well-being of this guy, one, but your own well-being, he's got access to firearms and he's suicidal. Is there an issue with putting him in the back of your patrol car while you sort it out? I mean, I listen.
Yeah, but I'm just saying at this point, they have not talked to the doctor.
No, but they have report. This is what I'm saying. They have 2 independent reports that got them to that door. You see what I'm saying?
Like what I'm saying is, as a cop, it's not a report. It's like a call thing in the notes that says like we've received 2 911 calls, one from a doctor. Like you, as a cop, you might not even read that comment. All you're seeing is like the first paragraph of the address, the where, the what, and you're gonna go and figure it out because we never ever go off of what the call notes for 911 dispatch say because they're always wrong, or they're wrong 75% of the time. Not to the fault of the dispatcher, but just to the fault of the situation. So it's like I just glance over the notes so that I have a general idea, but I try to keep a very open mind when I go to calls because you just don't know. So I mean,
no, I agree with keeping an open mind, but I also agree with gathering any and all intelligence that you're given. So I'm not going to just glance over the notes. I'm going to read into them. I'm probably going to do an address history and, you know, maybe I'm looking at it like a supervisor anyway, but I mean, I think
like at a street level cop, I don't think a street level cop's doing that. I think like most, unless you're like small town city, but like, you know, you've got calls that you got to run. It's like, okay, well, this is my next one, but I've got lunch in like an hour. So I'm going to get over there. If this dude's got to get taken to the hospital, that's going to put me at an hour and a half late for lunch. So faster I get there, the faster I talk to him, faster I sort this out. I'm just saying that's just what normal cops think, not what they should.
This is a great point because in the perf document that was put out that guides, you know, how to handle suicide by cop, they specifically say, slow everything down. Just slow it down. Slow down their role, slow down your role, and just take everything one step at a time. So, yeah, I'm not disagreeing that you probably should take everything into account before you grab somebody. I am saying, though, the possibility exists that there are firearms in there. You're acting in good faith, and you do have 2 independent sources that if you read the call notes and you believe them, you have enough to detain him. I'm especially if you have a well-founded fear that he's got firearms in there.
Yeah, I probably, at least in this scenario, being a Monday morning quarterback right now, I think if once I'm there, I would just kind of like, you know, I would do like, hey man, let's shut the door really quick behind you so we don't let your air conditioner out in the front yard.
Yeah,
just step out here and talk to us. I mean, that's what I always did that. When somebody was standing in the doorway, I'd always say, hey, come out here quick. Let me shut your door. I don't want to let bugs and shit in your house. Just so that would take away that avenue of escape or.
But as you'll see, they're walking the exact same tightrope that you're talking about. Like they don't want to infringe on his constitutional rights, which I get, his Fourth Amendment. And they also have, now they're committed. Now they have an obligation to check on this guy because they've been called there and they arrived there and they're talking to him. So let's watch a little more and let's see what other.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to a medical professional real quick? Somebody that's not police?
I have an errand I have to run right now. I'd like to run my errand.
Okay. So we got a call today that you contacted your doctor and wrote a letter saying that you were worried about the FBI was was looking for you and they wanted to do harm to you.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you worried about that?
No.
Okay.
I wrote a letter and I sent it to my doctor, but I'm not really worried about it.
Do you want to harm yourself?
No.
You don't want to harm yourself.
Correct.
Okay. So we also got another.
This is also just as an aside, this is very common when you're dealing with a first responder who is suicidal because they know exactly what answers to give you. Just keep that in mind. Like they know how to talk their way out of it. All they have to do is say no, right?
Call well, the doctor didn't feel comfortable dismissing that. Doctor took it very seriously.
What's that?
Your doctor called. I believe this. I didn't get it right. I think the doctor. But your doctor called our station up, and she was sent over here earlier to talk to you and make sure you're okay. Make sure you're not thinking about any suicide. Right. Any kind of suicidal thoughts?
No. I haven't been in there. I haven't talked to anybody in here.
Okay,
all right,
we
so
got
this
a call.
is
We
what
got a
they
second
revealed
call
this
today.
time.
A second call on you, saying that you want to drop your cat off at the veterinarian.
So the second source said he called me and wants to drop his cat off at the vet,
Right.
which is giving your possessions away. So now you've got two different people saying this guy wants to kill himself and then he's giving his possessions away. All of this is what I'm saying lends to the fact that he's more than likely suicidal, but he's telling you no. So what do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think maybe like in this point that like maybe like the cop is thinking old and senile and not necessarily suicide. Like this dude's like super old and senile. Like we just we need like the guy definitely has to go somewhere because you can't live like this. But I think probably what the cop's wrapped up in his brain right now is this dude just senile or is he suicidal? And not that it matters, but at the time the cop doesn't know that it doesn't matter. The cop's thinking he's still thinking of how can I not take this guy somewhere? Well, he's doing a great job. He's doing nice. I'm not being ugly towards the cop.
In the world we live in, he's probably got in the back of his mind, I can't leave this guy because I don't want to get sued, which is the cold, hard reality. He thinks he's liable for him, but he's in reality probably not. I mean, he's liable, more liable for his own safety. So let's just play more of the video. It's a tightrope that everybody has to walk,
Yeah.
I think what I'd like to do, if I can advance it to that part, is I want you to notice, well, look, first of all, just this one training point.
What do you do with the Navy?
He was a chief Sherman.
Okay.
Look where his hands are. Like both of his hands are behind his back now.
Right.
They didn't frisk him, and again, that's a fine line too. Like you're just.
Yeah, and I mean that's the kind of thing. It's and I just broke down a video that's coming out this week that they handcuff a woman and they take her to help her walk her dog before they take her to jail. And it's just like it's like you don't want to be an asshole, and you don't want to be what everybody says you are. You don't want to be this overcautious, overbearing cop that's just scared of dying all the time. And so you put yourselves into situations like this where I don't want to be an asshole and tell this guy to show me his hands.
What years did you live there?
But like we need to be assholes, and that's why I say. Cops don't need to speak the same language as civilians because when you do start trying to speak the same language as civilians, this is the kind of shit that you put yourself into. Nobody should be able to sit there in front of you and have their hands behind your back. Be an asshole. Be a state trooper. Fucking, hey, you can't have your hands like that. Sorry. Like I know it sucks. I know I'm a dick. I know I sound like a real state trooper right now, but state troopers don't die from stupid shit like this because they're assholes, and assholes always finish first.
Well, you don't encounter this on a traffic stop on the interstate normally, but. That was just an unfair slight that I threw at the state trooper shade. So here's here's a little bit about me. Also, I was the mentally ill whisperer. I'm not CIT trained or any of that.
Oh, I went to advanced CIT.
I just
I went
kind of
to veterans CIT, dealing with just veterans.
See, now that's advanced level shit right there. That's
it is, dude.
But I mean, I just had a way of communicating with people, and I don't know. It was just part compassion, part talking my way out of shit probably as a kid. And, I've shared this widely on social media. I've been suicidal in my past. So, I mean, like it's easier for me to empathize or actually sympathize with this person and what they're going through and what the sadness they're enduring. So, it's kind of a sensitive topic to them. And either they're just trying to tell you what you want to hear to get rid of you so they can go kill themselves, or, this is where you have to make the determination that they're truly not suicidal. And then again, it's the moral or ethical dilemma. If we know they're suicidal and we leave and they're not a danger to anybody else, can we just leave? And the answer is, yeah. I mean, we haven't done anything. Like, we tried. You're giving it a try here. And if this guy's will is to die, it's very unfortunate. It's very sad. But
I mean, the shitty thing about like being a CIT officer, and I mean, I don't know how it is in other states, but like the mental health facilities here are the fucking problem. It's not the cops. Yeah. We took a mentally ill dude to the Holly Hill here in Raleigh, and the dude walked out. We took him there involuntarily. He walked out and then got hit by a car and killed. He jumped out into traffic and was struck by a car, got struck so hard that his arms and legs flew off. And when we went in there to ask questions, they trespassed the police from Holly Hill. They trespassed our officers from Holly Hill when we weren't even trying to do anything except ask, when did he leave and what time did he check in? And they were like, nope, we're not talking about this. Get out of here. But if a cop doesn't involuntarily call somebody, it makes headline news. We get sued. We can probably get fired. But here you have the cops taking somebody involuntarily, saying that these guys are a danger to themselves. And then that dude walks out and then jumps out into traffic. And we don't even get to question that. It's so fucking lopsided. And the whole crisis intervention training, I'm sure it had good intent. I'm sure there was good intent to CIT and veteran CIT, but the fucking course is garbage. It is absolutely worthless. It's death by PowerPoint. At least it is where my agency was, with very little practical exercises on what it is and what it shows other officers going through, that it is simply a check the block for the city's insurance. Yeah. It is just an insurance. It says, oh no, we trained the cop. We trained him. We gave him the training. He just didn't do what we told him to do. But when you do 5 days of death by PowerPoint, one, you're not going to remember not even a quarter of the shit that they put in that PowerPoint. And you spend more time talking about dealing with autistic kids, deaf kids, and blind kids. And it's like, when have any fucking cops, I've dealt with one deaf person or two deaf people my whole career. Never dealt with a blind person. Never dealt with an autistic person. I mean, we see autistic people and we deal with them, because it's common sense, but it's a very rare occasion that we misdiagnose something like autism. But they spend like a gross amount of time when the majority of your CIT calls is shit just like this, which it should be scenario based, which should be safety based, and not fucking death by PowerPoint or them trying to invoke emotions while you're there. I mean, the first day of CIT when I took it, they played clips from 9/11 and they wanted to know how everybody felt about that, and said, like, just for a second, that's how somebody feels all the time. I think that's the most ridiculous and fucking dumb way to start any kind of training scenario of all time. Don't get me started. I fucking hate CIT program because I think it's a money program for all these little nonprofits to prove their existence. And it's just them trying to show up and fucking run their suck. They don't really give two shits about people trying to commit suicide.
I do know. I mean, the people that ran our CIT program, there was a lot of compassion there, and they really did tap the right resources to have mental health people come in and give their perspective. And it was always the mental health people that wanted to do something to affect change. So, I mean, it's not like that everywhere. I agree that, any program that when you're dealing with grant money is you know what I mean? It's a fine line. Like, how much are they doing this to support their nonprofit, or how much are they doing this to support the community? But
because they all sign in because they get paid to be there, because the department's going to pay that nonprofit to come in there and talk for 2 hours for, whatever it is, $240.
Right. So here we are dealing with this guy. I just, we can So
Yes, sir.
For my protection, you were right.
Yep. That's for our protection as well.
so this is the old another where you kind of like you'll lose credibility if you're caught in a lie. And I think he tried to sell him on the fact that no, we're all here for your protection. And he's looking out, he's like, that dude has a rifle. So that's for my protection. Like, how are you protecting me with that rifle pointed at me? Basically, not pointed at him, but so just something else to consider. I mean, I'm not faulting anybody for doing what they're doing. You got to keep yourself safe, but these things do tend to escalate a little bit. The person who's already in crisis. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I don't like. I definitely think that that's like one of the big no-nos, that you would not get out of your car with a rifle for this scenario. I mean, you could, but you would stay. Like you wouldn't be in the picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, getting back to fundamentals, we were talking about whether we have the right to be here, consent, or grab this guy or whatever. But when you got a rifle behind you, you've taken away all, like, this is a coercion all day long, whether you're doing this in good faith or not, because they're going to paint the picture like, man, there's a guy standing there with a rifle. What do you want me to do? Like, you know, that goes to any consent search. Like I've conducted consent searches where I turn around and to my horror, there's a guy standing there with a rifle. Like, of course they're going to give you consent. You just basically, put a rifle in their face. So just be cautious of stuff like that. I mean, you do have to protect yourself, but if you're communicating with a guy, again, this goes to contact cover. You got one guy over there on the phone who's talking to the doctor, and then you have 3 other officers. So one could be engaged in dialogue, and the other 2 could be, one could be less lethal. One could be holding deadly force out of sight. And then, just take your investigation from there. Again, I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking these guys. They're doing pretty well here.
All right, so we're gonna
So let me try to get to the point.
We gotta figure out who this is, because we can't just leave and let you go and forget about everything without at least confirming why you said this, and I go from there.
Let me stop you right there too. Let me stop this really quickly, and I'm not trying to just delay this for any reason, but talking like you and I, we are great talkers. You and I can talk to. I mean, we could talk to Charlie Chaplin for an hour and a half. We're good at it. I was good at talking to people. I would have somebody so caught up in what I was talking to them about that they would forget that they wanted to even commit suicide, because I wouldn't talk like a cop. I sit there and I'm like, I would have I was like, dude, you're in the Navy? Fuck, man. Like, do you ever go on a boat? Were you ever on a boat? Oh my God, dude, I love the water. I love being on a boat. But that's a lot of fucking guys to be smashed in with for like months ago. I'd be like, oh, what? You know what I mean? Like, we're good. I'm a good talker. This cop sucks at talking.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because we're not all put on this earth to be great talkers.
Right.
But people don't realize how tough it is to try to think. There's a lot of things going on with this cop. He's listening to his radio. He's got his stupid body camera beeping every 2 minutes to remind him that it's on. He's got a supervisor over there chatting on the phone. He's waiting on a call, obviously from a doctor, because that's why he has it on speakerphone. This guy's got his hands behind his back. And he's trying to think of what is the law? Like, am I allowed to take this guy just based on a doctor? Is this, he's not sitting in the comforts of my office saying, oh, he can absolutely put his hands on this guy. There's a lot of things going through the brain that are having a headshot, and he's having a hard time to speak. And I think people forget, or people don't realize, that talking as a cop is not the easiest thing. It's not like you're talking to your kids.
It's not, especially when the person's not necessarily like this guy is very passive, but he's non-compliant in the sense that your direction is this cop's direction is, I got to talk this guy out of the house and into my patrol car to get him evaluated. And this guy is just holding fast at very simple 2-letter word. No.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going. And this is the equivalent of like facing a rookie major league pitcher. As a batter, you have a little confidence up there. You've played the game a little while, and it makes it easier to figure out if you're going to swing or not. Or facing like Adam Wainwright, like what's coming next, or El Duque or somebody. Is this going to be a splitter, or this guy's got the best change in the ball game? it makes it very hard to process everything that you just discussed. Like, with your phone going off, the distractions of that, making sure everybody around you is doing something. This guy's got his hands behind his back. Nobody's really addressing it. What's he got on the inside of that house? I mean, there is a lot to think about. And I don't think cops get enough credit for that. But then to have to schmooze on top of that, to be this fucker. But you've hit on a perfect point, Eric. It's all about breaking the train of thought. So even if this guy is suicidal and dead set on disagreeing with you about coming with you or whatever, just continually breaking that train of thought, you're eventually going to build your rapport enough to where you're having that heart to heart, or your buddies. And
I don't care what they say, Drew, about like, you shouldn't talk to people like they're kids. That is a lie. Like, I was one of the best talkers in the department, hands down. And I talked myself out of a lot of problems. I talked myself into problems too, but that's by my choice. That's because it was an asshole gang member or something like that. And like, I want them to run, because I want that shot at a little bit of justice there, street justice. But I talking to people like they're a child, it works a lot of the times. And I'm not saying like you talk to me in baby talk, but you talk to them like a child, like, hey man, that's a nice shirt, dude. That's a cool shirt, bud. That's a cool shirt. Hey, come on out here real quick. Come on out here, stand right here. I want you to stand right here for me. So here, I'm gonna shut this door. I don't want the air conditioner to get out of your house. Look, man, I want to be real with you real quick. These guys said that you're trying to kill yourself, that you're seeing FBI agents. We're not going to do that today. We're not killing ourselves today. That's not going to happen. But I need to hear your side of the story from it. Go ahead and give me the rundown. What brought this on? But now you've said like, hey, we're not going to, like when you're with a kid on the playground, hey guys, we're not going to fight here. We're not going to fight. That's not going to happen. But you come over here and tell me why you're upset.
You're actually hitting on stuff that Perf is putting out in their documentation to say, look, it's just simple nuggets of conversation. And yeah, not condescendingly, but talking to them with easily understood questions, or it's going
to trying to talk like he's trying to talk like a cop. He's trying to talk like a cop. He's saying, well, what we have to do now is I'm in this position where we have to, no, dude, talk to him like he's a kid. Hey, bud, we're talking with a doctor right now. This doctor is saying that you're suicidal. I have to go on that doctor's word. Come on, step on out here. No. Hey, listen, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. You're not in any trouble. Come stand right here for me real quick and shut this door. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of discord that we need to be talking. Yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? I hate this cop talk, but it's what we're trained to do. And that's like how all the scenarios want you to do it.
You fall back on your training, right?
Because in your training, if you do that in training, if you go, hey, bud, and your training guy is going to be like, bud, oh, you're going to call me bud. They're going to give you like the worst case scenario. Saying, hey, bud works 99.9% of the time. It's that 1.8% of the time that it doesn't work. That's going to make you feel like a dumbass. And your fucking overzealous training officer guy is going to, capitalize. Oh, bud, I'm not your fucking bud. And then you never use the word bud again, which I used it all the time and it always worked out. And even when they said, when I'd be like, hey, bud, come over here. I'm not your bud. I know you're not technically my bud, but that's just my way of being nice. You come over here and sit on the curb for me.
There is no replacement for realistic scenario-based training, because that's where you get to see your inadequacies, or that's where you can actually you can make mistakes in the mat room doing a scenario. When you make that same mistake out on the street, as we're going to see here, the result is often deadly for somebody. So I'm a huge fan of realistic scenario-based training, not just defeatist, like you're going to lose every scenario and you're going to end up shot, or, we used to teach, building searches, and then the second or third scenario in, we wouldn't have anybody in the building. Like their heart says, pounding and thumping and thinking they're waiting for the jack in the box to pop out, but there was nobody in there. It's just to show them, look, you're gonna definitely search your share of empty buildings. I mean,
100%. Okay, no, go ahead, keep going.
So let's take a look at this guy's posture here.
I just wanted to say that Corn Pop in the thing, he says, I'm not your bud guy or whatever. And listen, and my thing with that, I always said, that's fine. Yeah, like not in real life. I just use bud in place of fuck face. I think it just sounds better to say, hey, bud, sit on the corner, instead of saying, hey, fuck face, sit over here on the street. So I'm trying to be friendly. That's what they teach me to do. And then like the gang member will be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not.
Is he calling me fuckface, or is he calling me bud? They don't care. Like at that point, they're so caught up on that they're sitting down and crossing their legs. It doesn't matter.
Hey, I see my boy. Just a quick aside. I see my boy from Team South Florida in here, Rich. Go to there's a CBS Miami story about some of the good stuff that Team South Florida did for Hurricane Ian, if you guys want to check that out. Anyway, let's get back quickly to our friend here. I didn't get to the right spot. It's coming. He actually just finally just starts looking around. He takes a seat on the stairs. But let's look at this. Look at him right now. Okay, just
defeated.
Here's me. Like again, when I walked up, I saw the guy. He's wearing like his nice jeans. He's got a belt on. He's got his shirt tucked in. He's got a wristwatch on. It looks like he got up to do what he does every day, and it doesn't necessarily give the appearance of him being disheveled or today's the day I'm going to die or whatever. So here he sits though. Look at his posture. His shoulders are slumped over. This is a good interview technique.
Yeah, he's defeated. He's done.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I was going to use. This is defeat. And you'll see in a second here, and spoiler alert, but he's got a 10,000 mile stare, not 1,000 mile stare. And you can almost see the gears turning in his head. He's like, fuck this is done. I've already made my decision. What am I doing? Why am I waiting? I think he's just kind of waiting to get the nerve up, and he's not going to fight anybody. He's just a passive old man. So just kind of, if you'll note, he's just sad. And how about this? Like as a cop, and this is why I was the mentally ill whisperer or whatever. I am going to break my arm to pat myself on the back because sometimes it takes one to know one. But how about this for a tactic? Walk over and put your hand on that guy's shoulder and say, look, life is tough right now, but there's tomorrow and we're going to go get you some help. So, it's like some empathy, but like this cop kind of seems like he's a rookie cop, or maybe there's some older senior cops behind him and that's making him nervous. Cause I remember being like that. Like when I was a rookie cop, before I became myself, I talk about this a lot in my book, or it's a lot more funny, like more funny and brought with some humor. But in the beginning of my book, I was so concerned with what the senior cops were doing or what people thought of me that I was this cop where it's like, okay, what does the book tell me to do? My book says to do this. My book says that. Well, as I'm an older cop, I would see what you're saying right now. That guy's fucking defeated. I have empathy, blah, blah, blah. I'd sit next to him. Dude, you're a fucking vet. I'm a vet. We're not dying today. That's not what we do. That's not how veterans live our lives. We're not fucking quitters, blah, blah, blah. But when I was a young cop and there's, a senior cop behind you with the rifle, you're like, okay, I'm going to do everything by the book because these assholes are going to shame the shit out of me in the locker room if I fuck this up. Not to call anybody out by name, but the chat is flooded with people who are saying the exact same thing I am, in the sense that it kind of takes one to know, like, you can recognize this feeling because you felt it before. I'm not saying that you have to have been there to be able to recognize that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you're at that point, you definitely like, ooh, this is bad. Yeah. Something's bad here.
Yeah.
So he's got the look of defeat. He's just kind of,
yeah, he's like, fuck it.
And he just wakes up. He's like, all right, I'm back. And then there just comes a point where he's like, in a sense, fuck this. If you guys aren't going to do anything, I'm gonna move this along here. So
yeah, he's like, I'm wasting everybody's time.
This is where it gets intense, and this is where you have to. This is why I say you have to have your mind made up of what you're going to do with this guy before it gets to this. Because what are you going to do when he walks upstairs? Do you have enough to go in there and grab him? What are you going to do if he doesn't surrender? Are you going to fight him? Like, have that ready. Don't let that be oh fuck, I got to start processing this in this moment. Have that decision made in an easier said than done. I get it. But the minute he stands up, you're going to walk in there and grab him. Like, all bets are off at this point. Safety is at issue for everybody around you. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you're not letting that dude get up from there.
So this is what he says, and this is what he does. He's like, okay, literally, like I just made the decision. He's moving pretty well for an old man, and they're asking,
stay down here for me.
Stay down here, but they're not inside.
Stay down here for me.
He goes to the kitchen, or he goes to the left.
Stay down here.
And all of a sudden,
stay down here. Come on.
He accelerates.
All right, here, stop right there. Oh, damn it.
Spoiler alert. All right, so by the time he gets to the top of the stairs, I rewound it, Eric. So by the time he gets to the top of the stairs, it's like he's gone. That guy's gone. So he took off. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm all in to finish this because that does escalate very quickly. I know we have some great talking points, but we wouldn't even be able to talk about any of this today if it wasn't for USCCA.com/FTS, or you can use USCCA.com/Wolfpack. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association is an association of over 650,000 members dedicated to helping people make informed decisions as gun owners. Members receive exclusive benefits geared towards self-defense, education, training, liability insurance. Like Tim Kennedy is all on board with this. Colin Noir is all on board with this. We're all on board with this. If you're carrying concealed, if you're a concealed carry owner, if you're even if you're open carrying, make sure that you become a member of the USCCA. It's going to give you all the updates you need. You get the free magazine. You're going to get courses that you're able to go to. And a lot of these courses are free if you're a member. There's a lot of seminars that you're going to be able to go to, but there are things that will increase your situational awareness. Shoot accurately under pressure, to fortify your home against intruders, prepare your loved ones. Look, even Tim Kennedy is all on board with this USCCA, and he is, Green Beret extraordinaire. So even he sees that there is a major value in this. De-escalating violent situations is a big one that they cover. It's also that you can become a different level of a membership. You can become qualified, level 1, 2, or 3. You get updates on gun laws. But then we have the self-defense liability insurance. The USCCA helps responsible Americans like you prepare for what happens before, during, and after an act of lawful self-defense. In addition to offering education and training, the USCCA has purchased an insurance policy that provides the association and its members with self-defense liability insurance. These benefits provide more than 650,000 USCCA members with a peace of mind. You never know when it's going to happen. You never know how it's going to happen. And you're going to want that legal representation. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you're going to be able to make that phone call and say, hey, listen, before I do anything else, I'm calling this number. But you got a bunch of perks and discounts. You can join now. If you go to the USCCA.com/FTS or /Wolfpack, you will see that there's some like gifty opportunities there. And I think when you type it in, it'll say like website not found in the search review. But if you just still click on it anyway, it takes you to a real page. And there's like some kind of discount stuff going on there. I think you get like a bag or something like that. There's some other perks, but it is very important. And it's something that we stand very behind. And we are so glad that they are supporting our show and that they believe in us. And so please, right now, just go check it out. Just go check out the website. Do that for us. Go to USCCA.com/FTS, or you can use /Wolfpack. And again, sorry to interrupt you, Drew, but I wanted to get that ad read out of the way. Continue on with that terrible.
Go to the website. What do you have to lose other than your freedom? All right. So here we go. Old man walking up the stairs. Note he's got a second wind here. A minute ago, he was staring into space. So
why isn't the cop just barging up there?
That's again. This is. I can't.
That just shows inexperience to me, like younger cop, like not knowing what to do. Nothing bad, but just being like, "Fuck, dude, am I allowed to go in there and put my hands on this motherfucker right now?" Or like,
it could account for some of this. Like, I don't know if Maryland has the involuntary commitment act. You know what I mean? So maybe this guy's like, but you know what? Truly contributed to all this, and everybody in the chat is going to agree with this, I guarantee. The fucking media, the society. Like this cop is afraid to act. He's afraid to violate this guy's rights. He's afraid because we are in a constant state of second guessing. And
constant state of it.
The public has been programmed to think that we were just nothing but ruthless.
And that, you know what? I blame it on the fucking PowerPoint, dude, because you're trying to go through literally, and I'm not even exaggerating, 1,000 pages of PowerPoint to try to figure out which PowerPoint slide was the one that tells me what to do right now. Because we're so ingrained in this by the book, step by step PowerPoint, hitting all the key points. If you're an instructor, man, get off the fucking PowerPoint. Get off the fucking PowerPoint and go do some real practical scenarios and make them real and make them practical and switch it up. Start off slow, crawl, walk, run, do those things. But you cannot scenario-based stuff and then go to an advanced scenario. Go crawl, walk, run, and then let's go, hey, everything that you've done has been great, but I'm going to turn up the heat now. And this is there's a couple of key things that you can do to win, but majority of this you're going to fucking lose. But I want to see how you do, and I'm going to stress you out to the max. So here you go. Instead of just sitting there doing death by PowerPoint, because now you got a timid cop that has no idea what the fuck to do.
I am fuckface, and I approve this message.
Bud.
Sir, stay down here for me.
If he would have said, come down here for me, Bud. If he would have said, Bud, instead of
stay
sir,
down here for
Bud,
me.
hey, Bud, come on.
Hey, stay down
He
here.
turns to the left up there at the top of the stairs. They've asked him 3 times. This is another training tip from Drew's catalog. It's ATM, ask, tell, make. So you ask him to come down, you tell him to come down, and then you make him come down. I know.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that in today's society. We just fucking get on repetitive repetition and we just keep going in circles until they fucking do what they ask. If I say, sir, come down here enough times, he'll fucking listen. In my book, I cover that too. I know I'm talking a lot about the book, but it's coming out very soon. But like I in a very funny story, I break down this exact scenario where it's like, you don't really know what your next move is. So in order to create, to void the dead space, you just keep repeating yourself. Sir, come down here. Sir, come down here, sir.
Hey, great question from Tactical Dude. I just want to tell you, Tactical, I see you. But I also want to point out, he brings up a big question here, a great question. What would happen if they didn't follow him up the stairs? Would it be a call out? I mean,
he just goes up there and fucking blasts himself, and then you got to live with that the rest of your life.
I can tell you where I work, we have changed the way we do business, and we might entertain it for a minute or two, but again, the decision rests probably on the on-scene commander or the shift commander who they call. And if there's nobody else in the house that's in danger, we're probably going to back out and decide from that point. And
at that point, you're going up there because you're like, fuck, this guy's going to go up there and kill himself.
Yeah, you're right.
And if he kills himself, it's going to be my fault.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's not, listen, this is the comfort of my Drew Breezy studio with, soft hue lighting and all the stuff. Like, this is my opinion of what I would do. This is not in the moment. Like, I don't have the sweat rolling down my back behind my vest, which drives all of us fucking insane. Or I don't have the thought of, man, I got to get off at noon because I'm supposed to go to a concert this afternoon, or, like all the other stressors that you have as a police officer when you're trying to deal with a situation like this. But this is why we discuss it also. Like, I am definitely not questioning anything that these guys did, or I don't want anybody to think.
I mean, somebody said, like, how could this have been different? Well, fuck, man. I mean, it's like, how could you have won the football game? Try not to throw an interception. I mean, is a quarterback a bad person? Because somebody missed the block or ran the wrong route and he threw the pass to the wrong guy. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, yeah, in this scenario, I think there's too much dead space, not enough talking, not enough empathy. This was too much textbook, not enough fucking real life. This was too robotic, which is what you wanted. We defunded the academies. We took out the stress shit in the academies. We demilitarized or paramilitarized the academy because we didn't want to, that was a whole Obama's pillars of policing thing, which we covered in a earlier episode, where we demilitarized everything, where we turned everything into adult instead of stressing people out. Now everything is done by the book. Did you cover these bullet points as taught in the academy? If you didn't, you're going to get civilly sued, because we're taking away qualified immunity, and qualified immunity is slowly disappearing. And that's what you have right here. There's no reason that guy should have sat on those stairs with his head slumped in his chest unless we taught empathy. And we're not teaching empathy. We're teaching how not to get sued. And that's why crisis intervention training is such bullshit, because they cannot teach you empathy, because if empathy doesn't work, there's no protection against being sued. They're like, well, we try to teach him empathy. What the fuck? No, you're getting sued. It's easier to say we gave him the bullet points. He didn't hit any of those. We never taught him to pat somebody's hand on the back. We never taught him to do this or that, So I think what could have been done better, void that dead space, show some empathy, pat, like he said, pat him on the back, talk to him like I say, like a child. Let's give him step by step. Here's what's going to happen. We're not killing ourselves today. Come on outside. We're shutting this door because you're not going back inside today. You are going to go to the doctor with us. But before we go, dude, I'm a veteran. You're a veteran. Hey, I'm not a veteran. I never served, but you're in the Navy. Man, I just want to thank you for your service, man. I just, people just don't understand the commitment that guys like you have to this country, and to wake up and sign that dotted line and leave your country. Hats off to you, sir.
Like personalizing it. Like, man, you remind me of my Uncle Larry. I miss him. Like I don't get to see him anymore. And just now all of a sudden he's thinking about, man, I got some cool nephews that I won't get to see after I kill myself. You're just trying to break that train of thought and just be genuine with it. So if you want to watch the last part of it again, Elijah, you want me to put the video back, or okay, I'll do it. Thank you. Okay, so here we go.
Stay down here. Come on.
He just accelerates.
He's like, I'm out.
Get him. Go. Shot fire. Hands up.
Come on.
Hands up. Hands up. You hit. Shot, you hit.
No, I'm good.
What?
Where anybody get?
Man, that's an obnoxious tone.
He grabbed.
Do not move.
He grabbed and pointed in my direction.
Do not move.
Now stop.
Do not move.
Stop.
I'm trying.
Do not move.
Okay.
The cop goes automatically. He was pointing it in my direction. Like,
he grabbed it and pointed it in my direction.
grabbed it and put it in my direction. Like, all he gives a fuck about right now is that he didn't shoot somebody that's unarmed. And that's a shitty way of thinking. I mean, like,
yeah,
like he knows that there's like, he's trying to like profess to the world, I just shot somebody, but he had a gun and he was pointing it right at me. I did the right thing.
Right. Well, I mean, what's that tell you about his mindset? It's not necessarily that he had to do what he had to do, but he also the gravity of him having to deal with that for the rest of his life. Like he like he grabbed it and he pointed it in my direction.
I had to fucking shoot him, you know.
I'm kind of glad in a sense.
But like, let's be real, that motherfucker was going up there to kill himself anyway.
Probably. I mean, what else are you going to put your hands on a gun for with 4 cops standing there, especially the one with the rifle? I mean, and why would you accelerate? You know, this is your last moment in life. So, you know, he's in the comfort of his bedroom, and this is it's sad all the way around. I mean,
you know, it's fucking terribly sad.
It also shows the confusion that goes on. You got shots fired. First of all, the guy shooting, the officer shooting, and you can hear his breathing. You got other people yelling shots fired. You're hearing the same shit on the radio that you just said. Then the smoke alarm goes off. Now you don't know if the guy is down or if he's just laying in wait. This is within like what, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and all of America wants to judge based on that 6 or 7 seconds. Like, fuck you. Like,
I mean, that cop only had two. There's only 2 things that cop could have done in that particular. Like once we decided that we're not going to use empathy, which is again not the cop's fault. That's just being a cop. You can't teach that. So you can practice it, but you can't really teach it. I mean, the cop did everything by the book that he's taught to do, and that will always be taught to do, because that's just how we live in the 20th century here is PowerPoint. So that's not going away. The cop did everything that PowerPoint told him to do. Great job. Other than that, the only thing the cop could have done right there is stayed where he was at and kept yelling repetitively. And that motherfucker would have went into the room and shot himself. And then that cop, everybody on the chats would be like, why didn't that cop try to stop him? Why did the police go and do nothing? Why did they let him just go up there and fucking kill himself? My grandfather would still be alive today if that cop would have done something, but he was a coward. He was too afraid to go up those stairs. He was too afraid to try to stop him. And now my grandfather is dead, and I fucking hate the police. Or he goes up there and the guy pulls out a gun and he shoots him, and everybody says, why did he have to escalate the situation? Why didn't they just sit down there and call him out? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? So this cop's damned if he does, damned if he don't. I mean, that's just policing in 2022.
That's why we're hemorrhaging in the profession.
That's why nobody wants to fucking do this job.
Because you get some asshole on MSNBC who thinks he knows better.
Because it's not about caring anymore. It's not about public safety anymore. It's about public perception. And did we do everything that we could possibly do to mitigate being sued? If you have a police attorney, which every city has a city police attorney, which is not attorney for the police. He's a attorney for the city that just deals with the police. And this guy cares way more about being sued than he does the public perception. I mean, he cares more about the public perception and being sued than he does public safety, police safety, and getting bad guys off the street. They don't really give a fuck about your safety, my safety, or anything else. All they care about is, how do I mitigate or lessen the amount of money that we could be sued for? And that's
the exposure, the city's exposure. I can tell you definitively that where I worked, we had a full-on, there's a great story of how our legal section was developed to begin with, but we had a full-on legal staff that every year in service would come in, and pretty much the first thing that the lead attorney would say is, we are paid to represent you. We don't want you second-guessing anything you do. Just go out and be cops. We'll handle the rest. It's going to be a pain in the ass for us. We don't care. That's why we're here. That's why we're getting paid. And they were genuine about it. And I'll tell you, the agency went so far as when cops started getting indicted left and right, they said, they promised and followed through with the promise. If you're involved in an officer involved shooting as a member of this agency, we are going to give you one of our attorneys. The rest of the attorneys are going to look out for the agency's interest. This attorney is going to look out for your interest until you can get your own. And they will never talk to each other about this case because, they can be disbarred for doing that. And it's proven. It's happened over and over again. Now, what we've done, it just like a lot of other municipalities and jurisdictions have done, we have shifted the investigation away from the agency. So we used to do our own shooting investigations. We turn those over to FDLE now, but rest assured, you're going to have an attorney, not from the PBA, not from anybody from the agency, who's going to come represent you and probably tell you, don't say anything. They can't interview you within 48 hours anyway, because it's a critical incident. But
Tactical Dude says, this is why we need officers who have been in the same shoes as the suspect and can understand what they are going through. If this was, I'd tell him, I'd understand what you feel. No, absolutely not. You're not going to put a mentally unstable person behind a gun and a badge. You can't put somebody who has tried to commit suicide or has gone down whatever path he's in. That's like, you can't even let a cop be a cop if they've done cocaine ever in their life. Do I think that you could have done cocaine and be completely rehabilitated and be a great cop? Yes. But there's no police department. I mean, I wouldn't say no, but no is going to take the liability of that. And when you go through your psyche eval and they say, have you ever committed suicide? And you say yes, there's no fucking chance you're becoming a cop.
I don't know about that.
If you say yes.
I'm gonna, and here's why I want to.
It would be a nightmare. Like you're saying, like you've got a cop who had admitted to you in the hiring process that he has tried to commit suicide before,
right? But
and you let him be a cop, and now he's done X. Like,
the slippery slope of this is the stigma that's attached right now in the profession, and this is why law enforcement officers are killing themselves, because they don't think that they can speak up and say, I've got a problem here, because they think that they're going to lose their job over
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm saying there's not a chance in hell that they're going to put more cops that have killed. That's just not how it works, because they're way too concerned about being sued or what it looks like to perception. Right. So if you go in there and you tell them that you've tried to commit suicide in the past, there ain't not a fucking chance in hell you're going to get that job.
There's a story that Off the Cuff did about California Post that happened to. They had guys that there was a threshold on the psychic evaluation. We'll call it like 600. There was a 600 score, and there were guys that used to be acceptable, and then Post raised their standards to 700. Well, they fired one guy because he was in the 600s, after they were told everything was fine, to hire him. They fired one guy, then they reevaluated all of their psych exams, and they ended up firing like 35 people because they were under that 700 threshold. And now they're making them retake the psych to get back into it. So it lends to everything that you're saying, but it also is counterproductive to what we're trying to do in law enforcement itself.
And I would say there's got to be 75% of law enforcement officers I mean, I'm guessing I'm a C student at best, and I don't have like statistics in front of me to bring this up. But if I had to guess, I would say, shit, dude, I'll say 85% of cops have thought about killing themselves at one time or another. I mean, you see suicides almost every fucking week. Like if you see it enough and you hear about it enough and you have one shitty week where you don't get enough sleep, you fucking think about it for a second.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I would say 85% of cops have all been in that situation where they were like, my marriage sucks. My fucking kids are falling apart. I'm in court all the time. I'm not getting any fucking sleep. And I see dead people constantly. Yeah, I think, dispatchers, fuck, dude. You guys listen to suicides almost every single night. Like, you got to think about suicide. So, I think that the cops are in those shoes, but young cops aren't. What most of these videos that you see come out are young cops, because young cops make the mistake and that's why it's a video. Senior cops don't make this mistake. That's why senior cops aren't on a lot of these videos, because a senior cop would have already known to have empathy, but a lot of these younger cops, they come right out of the academy and they haven't learned that yet. And you can't teach them that in the academy. You can't teach them that. And it just takes that. Yeah. Yeah.
It takes 5 years of experience.
Absolutely. When people are like, well, I think it's bullshit that you can't be SWAT until you're 5 years. No, I don't think, I think that's I don't care what military experience you have. I had a fantastic military experience and a lot of schools and a lot of training, but none of that sets you up to be a cop. None of it. And more often than not, it kind of sets you back, because you're more military than anything else. But, being a police officer isn't easy. And especially when you're a rookie cop, there's just too many things to think about. And unfortunately, you have to make mistakes and you have to learn from them. And that's exactly what my book is about. It's called Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. The whole thing is a comedy about all of my fuck ups. And I just got lucky. And I got lucky because I was surrounded by Drew. You did fucking 1,000 years in police departments. What were you like in your rookie days? How many mistakes did you honestly make as a rookie?
I'm still reliving those mistakes, like a lot. A lot. I mean, your ego, your infallibility and your ego puts you in some very, very hairy positions, and you become resourceful to try to fucking work your way out of it also. You know what I mean? Which creates even more bad habits sometimes. I look back at some of the shit, and that makes stuff like that makes you a more solid administrator. If people that are watching are listening or are listening and looking to get into leadership positions, don't put the guy in leadership position that has never made a mistake in his fucking life, because he doesn't understand what to do when he has to discipline the guy who has made a mistake, or there's no way you could put yourself in that person's shoes or see why somebody has done something if you've been perfect your entire life. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you 100%. I made some very shitty decisions when I was a young deputy, and I look back also, and I see a lot of like the PTSD kind of symptoms. Mm-hmm. They were driving a lot of the stuff that I would do, like short-tempered, or just making irrational decisions, or not caring if it, like, okay, this might be the last call I go on. Fuck it. Who cares? I mean, just like, I'm not having a great life anyway. Just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm going Leroy Jenkins into this attic because I don't give a fuck.
You just Leroy Jenkins right into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just want to say this, like, mental health in law enforcement is a very hot topic among administrators. Thank God, finally. And you're in the wrong place if you say that you need help and they punish you for it. And if they move you out of that position because they don't understand mental health, the worst that can happen is you've just saved your own life, because they don't give a shit about you. They care about them and their numbers, and they're too ignorant to be around anyway, which I get is easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, Raleigh is not the place. At least not when I worked there. Raleigh was not the place. I mean, you even hint a word that you're fucking thinking about hurting yourself or killing yourself, or They go to the nth degree. They blow everything out of proportion over there. And then, plus the morale there sucks anyway, but it's getting better. It's getting better. The pendulum is swinging.
I had a face-to-face conversation with my former sheriff about this exact topic. He's a current sheriff, and he's like, what? He's frustrated. He's like, what do we do to get people to know that if you reach out for help? He said there are plenty of people that have reached out for help. We got them help. We kept everything quiet, and in fact, we promoted them afterwards. It's just that on the inside, you don't see it.
And then I think one of the big things that no department does is no department is well, I shouldn't say none, but most departments that I've come in contact with, most cops that I talk to, which we talk to cops every fucking day. That's what we do on this podcast. I mean, we talk to cops constantly. My message box is inundated. It just takes me time to get to them. But so I'm very aware of what's going around the country as far as law enforcement goes. But one of the things that police departments are not being proactive. You shouldn't expect your officer to go get fucking help. Right. You should be able to do your little 90-day evaluation. And when you see like the caseload, when you put like, hey, what were the 10 felony arrests that you've made? What were the 10 critical incidents that when you fill out your little whatever thing, and you look at this guy and you're like, God damn, this dude worked fucking 3 critical incidents. Let me bring him into the office. And I'm going to tell him, hey, listen, homie, I had a great sergeant. His name was Sergeant Eckert. And man, I probably shouldn't have dropped his name because he'd probably get fired. That motherfucker was on top of that shit. He would say, yeah, you had 2 foot chases this week. Don't say a word. Don't go anywhere. Don't crack a beer. Don't do anything. Don't come to work tomorrow. Stay home with your family, watch a movie, and relax. We're not going to tell anybody, but I want you to have the night off. Awesome. And you were like, and you're not burning comp time. You're not burning. Nobody's going to know about it. But you got to promise me that you're not drinking, you're not driving out anywhere, you're not taking your family out, because if something happens, we're all getting fired. But it was a very proactive approach, even though it shouldn't be against a policy violation to be like that. It should be like, hey, this guy had like 4 or 5 critical incidents. Let's go ahead and just tell him that he's going to go have a meeting with Dr. Erickson. And it's just normal. Everybody does it. So now you're not being pissed off, but they don't. They wait until something happens. And then they're like, you got to go see Dr. Erickson. Now it's a punishment. And you're like, man, fuck that doctor. I don't want to talk to that bitch or whatever. And she's a great human being and she's a selfless servant to the profession. But your brain is that you only see her as a form of punishment. So if departments would be a little bit more proactive, if supervisor would be a little bit more proactive. If my lieutenant ever called me in and said, hey, bud, come on in here real quick. You're getting a lot of foot chases. You've worked like 4 homicides this month. This is closed door. This is Eric Tansey to Drew Breasy. What's going on in your what's mama doing at home? How is she doing? How do you feel about that kind of shit? Are you cool with it? And does it weigh on your head? You know what? I'll tell you, I mean, it sucks a little bit, dude. Like, I mean, that one kid, man, he fucking 14. He didn't have to shoot somebody. It's like, what the fuck are these parents doing? Yeah, I know, man. Bad parents. It's crazy, right? But hey, I'll tell you what, man. I'm going to be at Chick-fil-A at 9:00 tonight. Let's grab some Chick-fil-A together. We'll continue this conversation over some chicken biscuits. But I'll tell you what, man, have a good night. And thank you for everything that you're doing. Dude, you don't even give a fuck about that 14-year-old. You're like, dude, I'm having fucking Chick-fil-A with the lieutenant. There's no agenda. He's not prying. He told me to have a good night. And he told me I'm fucking killing it. Fuck that 14-year-old kid that just murdered somebody. You know what I mean? Problems are all solved.
It is incumbent on the first line supervisor. 100%.
Hey, this was a great episode, Drew. I love it. I think we'll probably revisit mental health. We've got our 200th episode coming up at some point, so we're all going to be doing some things. We've got Cincinnati coming up. We've got, if you're thinking about killing yourself, don't fucking do it. If you're a police officer and you're afraid of getting in trouble at your department and you're going through a bad time doesn't mean you have to commit suicide, by the way. A bad time can mean you're just not having a good fucking time. You saw some shit last night and it just doesn't sit well with you. That doesn't mean you're suicidal. It can lead to that for sure. But dude, we're a message away on that kind of stuff. It might take me a hot second to get back to you, but if you message me enough, I'll see it. And I'm not going to hold you. I'll give you my goddamn cell phone number. I've done it 1,000 times. And we'll just talk. It doesn't have to be about suicide. I'm not going to Baker Act you or any of that bullshit. But sometimes we got to vent to each other, and we're here. We're not going to throw you under the bus because I can't get sued. And what, are you gonna sue me for $5? Take this microphone. I got another one.
I've never confessed this to anybody in public. Don't get nervous. I got a DM from somebody in Uvalde about stuff that I've said.
Oh,
It's
they
probably
like
one
it
of
or
my greatest
they
accomplishments.
like it or didn't like it?
They thanked God for Drew Breasy.
Oh, we all do. You're the Patreon saint, the Patreon saint of this.
Patreon.
I am not. I believe me. Like, it took a lot for me to even tell anybody that, and I don't want to violate anybody's trust. But at the same time, I am not going to fucking sit on a bully pulpit and tell you like I am the master of mental health.
No.
But I'm telling you, him or her reaching out, it meant a lot as far as the validation from my end is concerned. But it also he told me how exponential it was for the people that worked, for the people around him that worked.
That's awesome, man. Well, we love it. We love those guys. We love all of our first responders. Look, if you're going to fucking, one of the best things to cure mental health is a ghost bed. I can't put that in the ad read. I can't guarantee you that if you have a ghost bed that you won't fucking blow your own brains out. But what I can tell you is if you have a ghost bed, it'll be that much harder, because sleeping on a ghost bed, get the sleep that you need, which gives you it reboots your brain. You get in that deep level 3 fucking Joe Rogan sleep status where you're like seeing shit, you're seeing the third eye. That's like, you don't even have to do DMT. You just lay your ass on that ghost bed and you're seeing that third eye. And I'm not talking about Drew Breesy's third eye. I'm talking about the all-knowing 3 eye. That's how much powerful the good sleep, and good sleep helps mental health greatly. You're a first responder. Sleeping's already shitty. Getting a boner's already shitty. We got you covered with Blue Chews, baby. We got you covered with a way to sleep on a ghost bed. Support those who support this podcast. Do you know how hard it is to find people to endorse a pro law enforcement channel in 2022? Almost damn near fucking impossible. So the fact that Blue Chew, Ghost Bed, USCCA, guys like Founders Cigar, people like Rit Pack, those guys, support them because they support you. They support you. And they're not afraid of what we're going to say in the sake of helping out law enforcement. So thank you guys from the Failure to Stop Wolfpack. Guns up, giddy up. Have a great weekend. We'll see you in Cincinnati on the 7th. I got to head down to Wilmington for a skate contest, and I'm already late. So, Drew, fuck you.
Keep your Cleotha clean and go fuck yourself.